video. This is going to be a translation and a discussion of my Ecce fanfic featuring participles, because Ecce Romani in the chapters that we are currently doesn't feature participles as much. And so let's go ahead and get started. And so it says, Cornelius, our subject, rule number 1, and stop right there. The reason why we stop there is that it comes from a verb, trado, tradere, traditi, traditus, to hand over, but it is not a verb, it is a participle. So either we're going to keep moving on, or we're going to stay because it might modify the subject, and in fact it does. A present active participle modifying Cornelius because of the nominative form, and so we know which Cornelius. The one handing over money, the accusative direct object, to the dative motelier, who is the receiver of that direct object. It is a third declension noun, hence it has the dative singular third declension. So the handing over money to the motelier Cornelius shouted, did shout, has shouted, perfect stem with a perfect ending, and implied direct object words he shouted, direct object instructions he shouted, to his wife, receiving those understood words as the dative indirect object, que, and to his children. Remember that que is going to be the equivalency of an et if it were before the word, even though the que is attached to the end of the word. Quote, he says, the slaves, and I'm looking for a verb, and I stop at portatas because it comes from a verb, but it is not a verb. Porto, portare, portavi, portatus, a perfect passive participle. It is accusative plural, so therefore it's probably modifying the suitcases. And so we go to our verb ponent. Ponent is obviously having a long E, that the NT8th macron, and so we have to ask, does this long E appear in a second conjugation verb, or does it appear in a third? We know that the verb itself is pono, ponere, short ERE, so third, making it future. The slaves will place the suitcases, the ones having been carried out of the motel, and they will place those suitcases in plus accusative into the minivan. Festinate lente. Hurry slowly. Remember that as a command, you're talking more than one person with the te, and this is a famous phrase that was favored by Augustus. Festina lente, which of course would be to a singular person, hurry slowly. Go fast, but not too fast to where you obviously end up making errors. Cum. Every single time we see the word cum, you look to see the next word. Is it hanging around with an ablative? If it is with an ablative, then it is going to mean with. But if not, it will mean when. And so that's exactly what we have here. When Cornelia, our subject, and stop there. It comes from a verb. It is a future passive participle or a gerundive. You recognize it by the nd. And it is not modifying the subject, so we're going to keep going on to our verb. But since I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and draw an arrow to equos, and so it tells to me the accusative plural that is modifying the accusative plural noun. When Cornelius spotted, that's one way of the translation of the perfect, did spot, has spotted the horses, the ones about to be beaten with a whipstick, that would be the obvious means by which, by the driver. When we have a passive word and you use a or ob to mean by, this is what we call the ablative of personal agent. It has to be a person, and agent is the one who is the doer of the action. And so therefore, when there's something that is expressed passively, you use the ablative of personal agent to show who is the one doing that action, because it is certainly not the subject that does the action when it is, of course, a passive word. He says, Cirrus in the vocative case, because he's talking directly to him, he takes off the US and replaces it with an E. Noli ferire. Don't hit, ferio ferire, the horses. Tum Cornelia. Then Cornelia immediately, get it up there. So then Cornelia immediately, that's my subject looking for a verb, and I stop there because it is from a verb. Traho, trahare, troxy, troctus. It is a future active participle. It does not modify Cornelia, it modifies something dative or ablative, and so I'm going to go ahead and draw an arrow to the horses because that's what it is going to be modifying. Now, long is could be either dative or ablative plural. Do we have a ditransitive verb? Ditransitive verbs are those verbs like give, show, speak, or tell that will have both a direct object in the accusative and an indirect object in the dative, telling me that that is the dative receiver of the direct object. So then Cornelia gave, perfect tense with a perfect stem and a perfect ending, apples to the horses, the ones about to pull the minivan. Soon all departed, did depart, has departed. I know this is not an infinitive, but the alternate ending for erunt, perfect endings, I isti it, imis istis erunt, because obviously it has the perfect stem, and thus that then becomes the perfect ending. Your first item to enter into your Canvas proof quiz is going to be merely the word MOX, M-O-X. And if I could get on a scrap of paper, Knorr, to write that down so I can remember that was the first item, that would be awesome. So M-O-X is your first word. We continue on to the second half. Ridaris, the driver, and that is going to be our subject. And I'm going, and stop with verberaturus. Again, we got a future active participle, and we're going to stay on the brakes this time because we see that it is nominative modifying it, telling us what kind of driver. So the driver, about to beat, and about to beat the horses with the whipstick. Again, a virga is like a crop, and as a matter of fact, that's going to be your second item, virga. V-I-R-G-A. Don't need to make the A long, just spell the word virga. So, which driver? The one about to beat the horses with a whipstick. And then I'm looking for my verb once again. I obviously am going to put on the brakes because it is from a verb, narre, narrare, but it is not modifying the subject, so we're going to keep going on. But while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and draw a line from the dative to the dative that it modifies. Naranti modifying Cornelio. Shouted, did shout, has shouted to Cornelius. Which Cornelius did the driver, the one about to beat the horses with a whipstick, shout to? The one, Cornelius, telling the soldier's story to his wife. None. And that's going to be your third item. N-O-N-N-E. Expects a yes answer. And so he's going to say, food was given, was being given, ablative of personal agent, by the motelier already to the horses, right? Or we could translate it surely. Surely, food was given already to the horses by the innkeeper. Surely? In other words, it expects a yes answer. The opposite of none, expecting a no answer, is of course the word num. We continue on. We're almost there, and you have two more items to put in, numbers 4 and 5. Cornelius says, truly in such a way, the minivan, and I am now looking for my verb, and there it is. Not the verb, but from a verb. And I asked all of y'all to go ahead, scratch out the et, and instead put a comma there. I think it works much better that way. And so the minivan, and as a matter of fact, tracta, the perfect passive participle, the fourth principal part, trahe, trahere, traxi, tractus, modifies rida. And so the minivan, the one having been pulled by the horses, a fossa, out of the ditch, with the help of the horses of the innkeeper, genitive, that minivan, the one having been pulled, it. And again, we have a long E. Ask the question, and the answer is ago, agere, third conjugation, meaning this is future, and make it passive. That minivan will be driven by the driver, cum magna arte, an ablative of manner, with great skill. And that's your fourth item to put in, arte, A-R-T-E, the ablative of manner, skill. A-R-T-E is your fourth item. On the journey, in itinere. That's not a subject, not a subject, not a subject, not a subject, not a subject. And I've got bad news. I need to fix this because it obviously is not the version that I have given to all of y'all. And so let me go ahead in real time, fix it right now. And so there it is. And I have it, apologize, but fixing it right away. And then pueri are going to now be the subject. And so give me a second. I'm so apologetic. And so I want to go in the insert. Yikes, I'm so embarrassed that this is happening in my translation. There it is. I'm going to actually, if you do this, give you 105. How about that? And then just a second. Humo, and then Habent, and then I'm going to put down here a period, boom, boom, and then this is going to be capitalized, and so I think I got it right now. Don't worry about the goofy line numbering, we'll get it all sorted out. And so it says, on the journey, sorry about that, on the journey, not the subject, not the subject, subject, the boys have. The reason why it is have and not will have is that unlike that E in a third, and previously we also had another long E in a third, this is a long E in a second, habeo, habere, and so it is present tense. They have, they are having, they do have, right now, in mind to annoy Cornelia. The excitandum Cornelia, a gerundive with that nd, and so we know which Cornelia they have in mind to annoy, the one about to be awakened. The dad. Clamans is a present active participle. We stop, stay on the brakes because its nominative form tells me it's modifying dad, and so the dad, which one? The one shouting with great anger, another ablative of manner, scolded, did scold, has scolded the boys. But of course we live in the Deep South, so perfect stem, perfect ending, got onto, did get onto, has gotten onto the boys. Your very last item to enter for your free 105, because the lengthened video of me having to fix it is none other than the present active participle clamans. C-L-A-M-A-N-S. Clamans is your last one. So I'll get this all cleaned up. Thanks for studying and for watching. And like I said, I'm going to reward you with a 105 instead of a regular 100 for bearing with me, fixing it on the fly. Thanks so much, and good luck.